Hey everyone, so Shadowlands has been delayed. In this video, I'm going to tell you what I think about the expansion delay, as well as what that means for the channel over the course of the next couple months while we wait for the game to actually release. Here we go. So, Blizzard has announced via Blue Post that the Shadowlands expansion has been delayed until later this year. We weren't given an exact date, but with the planned launch on October 26th to 27th now being pushed back, that leaves us basically with sometime in November, possibly December. Now, as far as that goes, I think that's a little bit odd, and I feel like maybe the expansion should have been delayed even further than that, possibly getting like an expansion launch sometime after the new year, kind of skipping all the holidays and giving Blizzard time to actually get in a lot of testing between now and the launch, because this whole delay was caused by the fact that they need more testing, they need more time to figure things out. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So with that Blue Post, we also got the announcement that the pre-patch is going to be coming on October 13th. So that's some good news. Even though we won't have the expansion coming at the end of the month, we will have the pre-patch coming, and that brings a lot of features from the expansion into the current game. And I do think that's going to give you an opportunity to kind of explore and test some things out. In general, this whole situation raises some concerns, but I also think that overall it's a good move, a solid move on Blizzard's part. So, man, like just breaking this down is a little bit nuts because there's so many pieces, so many layers to it. So first off, like Blizzard hasn't delayed expansion in a long time. I think Burning Crusade was the last time they delayed an expansion. Like not a patch or something, but an expansion. And so this is kind of a big deal for them to do this. And to be honest, leading up to this week, I didn't think that they would delay the expansion because of that history of them. Like once they set a date for something as big as an expansion, they normally don't push it back any further. And so I thought, yeah, maybe we'll see like pre-patch pushback, or we'll see a launch and then a ton of changes in the weeks after launch, but we won't see a delay. Then I saw the beta patch notes that came out this past week, and that made me go, oh, wait a second, because my overall interpretation of seeing the patch notes from this past week for beta was that Blizzard doesn't know what the hell they're doing. I just got this impression of stuff being chaotic and all over the place in terms of class balance, in terms of the covenant systems, all that kind of stuff. You know, reading through the notes, I just went, there is no like coherent like thread, you know, pushing all these changes together. It just seems so haphazard and all over the place that this really seems like it's in a much worse place. Because like for me, as a content creator over the past several weeks, I've kind of been waiting for that moment where it's like, okay, the class changes are like 90% done, because what I want to do is put out guides to help people who are starting fresh at level 50, whether that's because they boosted a character or they're at max level going into Shadowlands and there's a lot of class changes and stuff. I want to put out those guides and be like, hey, here's how you play the class in Shadowlands. But I kept waiting for that moment where it was like, okay, 90% of the changes are done. We're good to go. I can put out a guide. If Blizzard changes something, it's something I can just like make a little, you know, comment on the video and be like, hey guys, you know, when I made this, X did this, but now X is tweaked a little bit and it does that. Like simple little corrections. And it just kept feeling like that moment was not there. And when this past patch came out, it just like kind of emphasized that all around. I was like, okay, maybe we're getting close. And then this patch came out and I was like, whoa, we are not anywhere near close. And one of the big things they did in this past patch is they just like nerfed Covenant abilities into the ground. We're talking like hundreds of percentiles in reductions in damage and all that kind of good stuff. And while I didn't do raid testing or anything like that, you know, the majority of my beta testing has been focused on the classes like at their core level before you tack on all the like borrowed power systems that we get every single expansion, I could still just tell, like, it felt like in a lot of cases, some classes were just not fun, or they were way behind other classes in terms of survivability or damage output, etc., etc. There was a long time there, and I think it still kind of exists, where, like getting onto a shaman and playing the damage dealing specs, elemental or enhancement, actually felt worse than just trying to kill stuff as resto. And that was just a weird experience when some of the first initial shaman beta changes came out. And that was kind of one of the things where I just went, maybe they're just super undertuned. And the thing is, that is the case throughout some of the specializations for the different classes, but that's also the case for different classes compared to each other. So there's a lot of just tuning that needs to be done, but above and beyond tuning, they mentioned in the Blues post that what they wanted to do was focused on the in-game systems and all that. And that was kind of my thing is I thought, hey, if they delayed the expansion, or if they launched the expansion as is, that wouldn't be that bad if it took everyone 2 weeks to get to max level, because they would have time to do some tuning and some adjustments and continue to work on those in-game progression systems. And then even when you hit those in-game progression systems, you don't just fly through them, right? You don't get all of your soulbind tiers and ranks and stuff right off the bat. You have to get into the renown system and it's sort of time gated, right? And I was like, that would give them enough time. But the reality is that when the expansion comes out, somebody's going to be max level within a day, and they're going to be into those systems, and there's no time for Blizzard to make any changes before people are experiencing that system, experiencing the bugs and just the general design limitations that are placed within that system. So in reality, the delay is what they had to do. If you look at the launch and the reception of BFA when it came out, and the Azerite armor and just the general vibe of the beginning of BFA, and if you weren't here for it, it was not good. Basically, you came out of Legion where you had this powerful artifact weapon with all these extra abilities, and your class just felt in a lot of cases it felt pretty good. It felt like it had a lot of stuff going on, and it just felt fun. And then they stripped that away in BFA. They dropped you down to the base fundamental aspects of the class, which is what I always try to focus my testing on. And in a lot of cases, it didn't feel good. In other cases, when you are leveling, it felt like once you got to level 115, 16, 17, somewhere in there, your class power just took a nosedive, and instead of getting more powerful as you leveled up, it felt like you got weaker as you leveled up. And then once you did get to max level and you started getting into these in-game systems, you had all the Azerite armor problems, and it was not a good look. It was not a good moment in the history of World of Warcraft in terms of public reception and press. And honestly, if Shadowlands were to come out the way it is today, if I logged in on beta and that's what they were launching today, the reception, I think, would not be very good. There's a lot of bugs. There's a lot of abilities and stuff that just aren't working, talents that aren't working. There's just a lot of work that still needs to be done. And I think that in the course of the next couple of weeks, that work could have been done if what they had to focus on was bugs and tuning. But that's not what they have to focus on, because when we get into the end game systems, which is where the focus of this delay is, that's where you start to run into some issues that you can't just fix by turning a knob or adjusting a couple numbers. There are issues that I've talked about before and other WoW content creators have talked about before with the Covenant system, the Covenant abilities, all that kind of good stuff. And I watched Preach's video on the delay, and I think he said it best. They've just made this so complicated for themselves in the way that they've stacked these systems on top of each other, and the way everything's tied into borrowed power, and the fact that now, if they turn a knob, it doesn't affect just one class or one specialization. It affects 36 specializations. And that's 100% true. The complexity that they've created for themselves with this system just kind of prevents them from being able to quickly make adjustments. And I honestly would not be surprised to see a revamping to some degree of the like Covenant Conduit style system by the time the expansion does actually launch. I don't think this will be a large scale thing where they're going to say, hey, everybody can just have whatever Covenant ability they want now, because they seem to have like, you know, chosen their ground on that. They've picked their hill and they're going to die on it, I guess. But I could see something like more flexibility with the conduits, the cooldown system and that kind of stuff, or just something. I expect to see something. I'm not sure what. Like, if I had to say what I wanted to see, I think I would still be on the train of like, just let people choose a Covenant ability regardless of the Covenant they're tied to. Make things a little bit simpler on yourself. But I don't think they're going to do that. So all in all, I think the delay is needed, and it's a good thing overall, because Blizzard can't afford another PR disaster for World of Warcraft after Battle for Azeroth. I genuinely don't think that they can afford it. And in all honesty, like for me, getting into Torghast and playing that is the main appeal of the expansion. And there are some bugs and stuff in Torghast and things that don't work. But overall, I think that the experience as a whole is good enough that if Shadowlands launched and I got to max level and just went straight into Torghast and started doing my thing there, I would be fine. I would be content. But I know outside of that, there's a lot of issues with, you know, dungeons and raids especially, and class balance and everything, where there's going to be a lot of issues. So on kind of like a personal level, I feel pretty confident that, you know, when Blizzard does release Shadowlands, I'm going to be happy for the most part. But I also feel like I'm in a minority of people who just want to get in and play Torghast on 36 specializations. And many people that are out there are looking forward to that classic WoW experience where they're going to get in, do their, you know, dungeons, and then eventually get into raiding and run through the raid tiers and grind through all the systems. And I think in the current state of the beta, at least, that would not get good press. Just because, I mean, at the minimum, you would see like Shadowlands is a buggy nightmare. Sort of post and content going up, to say nothing of the fact that I think once the majority of people get their hands on the conduit system, at least, they're going to be underwhelmed, I guess, and even outright just angry if the weekly reset thing stays. So that's kind of my thoughts on what's going on with the delay of the expansion, how I feel about it. I think it's a good move. I think they need to do it. Obviously, it kind of sucks, but at the same time, we got holidays coming up. We've got all sorts of new games releasing over the course of the next couple of months. If WoW is your number one main played game, then yeah, you're kind of like out of luck for a little while, I think. But if you're the kind of person who can take a break and play some other stuff while it comes out, or pick up some old games you've been, you know, waiting to play, then I think you got an opportunity here to have some fun, and the delay won't be, you know, all that bad when it's all said and done. I do think that them pushing it back to sometime this year is a little weird, and like I said, I kind of would have felt a little more confident if they had said something like January 2021. You know, as like a date, like, hey, let's get past all the holidays and New Year's, because we need time to test this. We need time for you to test this. There's a bunch of holidays over the next couple of months. People are going to be busy. You know, make sure we get the job done, and then just start the new year with a nice expansion. Which would have been nice for me, a nice birthday expansion again. I think the last birthday expansion I had was Burning Crusade, and that was my favorite WoW expansion. So we'll see. I don't think it's totally off the table for them to push the date into 2021, into early 2021, but I'm not sure how that's going to go, you know, because they obviously get negative backlash for a delay announcement at all, and if they were to delay it again, that's even more negative stuff. But I think that ultimately the negative press they would get from that would be a lot less damaging in the long term than releasing a buggy mess of an expansion. So all that said, the pre-patch is coming out on the 13th, and the pre-patch is bringing with it a lot of cool systems and things that you're going to get to play around with. So first off, the pre-patch is coming with the new character customizations, and I know that some people aren't going to care about that. Some people are going to pop in and have their customizations set in just a couple of minutes. Some people, like myself, have been playing beta for so long that, we kind of already know what we want to pick and we're good to go. But for those of you who have not been in the beta as long or have yet to experience all the new customizations, that's going to be a fun time. You're going to be able to hit up your barbershop and change your character, and you'll be able to switch genders if you want to, but then there's just a ton of different character customization options that are coming to the non-allied races. So allied races do not have currently the customization options that the other races have gotten. So for example, if you are playing a Magyar orc, you don't have all the new stuff that regular orcs do. But if you're on a regular orc, then there's a ton of new stuff for you to check out. So that, I think, is really exciting. It's going to be nice to see characters, I guess, diversified a little bit more. And it's always nice to have, a little more control over making your character unique to you. So that's really nice. We're going to have the leveling revamp instituted. And the overall level squish. So characters at 120 are going to get swished down to level 50. And along with that, we're going to have the new starting experience that is from level 1 to 10. And I definitely encourage everybody to try that out. It's a lot of fun. It's a blast. I played through it one time on the beta, was like, man, this is good. And then stopped myself from playing it more because, I want to play it live. So that's coming in when you hit level 10. If you already have a max character, then you get to pick an expansion to level through, and you'll be able to try that out. I imagine there's going to be bugs and stuff and discrepancies between how long it takes to level through one expansion or the other, but it's still just a cool system that I think is going to be a lot of fun. And along with that, the kind of third piece of the puzzle here is that the reputation requirements for allied races should be removed in the pre-patch as well. So it's going to be a good opportunity to go out there and get the allied races that you've been wanting to try out, run them through the new starting experience, or I'm not sure, they may start a little bit higher than I think they might start at 8 or 12. I don't know. Don't quote me on it, but to get one of those new allied race characters and to level them to max level through the new experience of getting to play through a single expansion up to level 50. And I think that's going to be fun. I'm planning on leveling some characters and stuff during that time period as well. So along with that, you're going to have the class changes coming through with the pre-patch as well. So all the stuff you've been seeing in the beta, the new changes and everything, that's going to be implemented in the pre-patch. And I'm sure all the current balancing problems and issues are going to come with that, but you'll at least get an idea of how your class is going to feel, how it's going to play in Shadowlands. I wouldn't get too hung up on the amount of damage you're dealing or your heal throughput or any of that kind of stuff, because we still need that tuning pass amongst all the classes, but you'll get to see some of the stuff like the unpruned abilities. You'll also get to see the new abilities like Malefic Rapture on Affliction Warlock, or new talents or reworked talents like Blood Talons on Feral Druid. So you'll get to see all that kind of stuff. And I think overall, that's going to be a fairly fun and entertaining experience for anyone who does want to level an alt or just feels like leveling an alt for fun. If you have one character and you don't play any other characters, then a pre-patch is not going to be great for you, just speaking generally. But if you take the opportunity to use the level boost and the rep boost and all that kind of stuff and level a couple of extra characters here and there, I think you're going to have a good time. So overall, the pre-patch, I think, is still a fairly exciting sort of moment, a shake-up, a change-up. It also allows for more time with the pre-patch for them to work on bugs with class balance and the leveling process and all that kind of good stuff. So I don't think... I'm glad they didn't delay the pre-patch further. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to come out this week, but it's been delayed. We got about a week and a half until... it actually comes out, but I'm happy that they didn't delay it. it is probably going to cause some issues, some bugs and tuning issues and stuff like that. Fully expect that to be something that we're going to have to just deal with. But I think most of us would rather have that with all the new stuff like the leveling, the allied race unlocks, the customization and everything, than have nothing for another couple of months. So that's, the delay, that's the pre-patch. What's going to be going on here with the channel? Now, my intention was to take this next month or so and to work on the guides, the level 50 guides. And I've been holding off on that, like I said, because I was waiting for that moment when it was like, okay, I'm pretty sure we're like 90% good. Like, they're not going to change talents. They're not going to change skills. They're not going to switch stuff on me. We're just doing tuning, and I could just make the guide. We're good. And that has not come, and that has kind of prevented me. It's been pushing back and delaying me creating those guides, which are like the main chunk of content that I want to have ready at the launch of Shadowlands or within, a month or two of the launch, so that I have that same sort of library of guides available that I did for BFA. So that's kind of off the table for right now until we see, how long this delay is going to be, what sorts of changes are coming. I definitely have like zero confidence in making any guides of that type for the foreseeable future. So on top of that, I've also kind of like played out beta as much as I want to. At this point, I was getting into the mental shift of, okay, let's get out of beta. Let's get ready for launch. Let's step away. Let's, kind of forget some things and, have an enjoyable launch experience. And I kind of want to stick to that. I'm not super interested in going back to test beta unless there are major changes, which when there are major changes, especially to classes in their abilities and their skills and stuff, then I definitely will jump back in and still check those out. But as far as just like, live streams of, Torghast for 3-4 hours, probably not going to be a thing until after the expansion launches now. So what that means is, where I intended to have guides, I kind of have to shift my focus, and I'm going to be taking this opportunity to do a couple of things. So the first thing that I want to take an opportunity to do is set up my regular streaming schedule, and that basically comes down to streaming every Tuesday, like I have been doing 2 Patreon Epic live streams per month, getting a Twitch stream going regularly, which was supposed to start this month, and now it's an even better opportunity to do so. And then also getting my other side of the world, Europe time zone stream going once a month as well. So I'm going to be prioritizing that in terms of streaming, getting that schedule going, and kind of setting that up to be a regular thing throughout, hopefully, the rest of the channel's history. So that's going to be my kind of main focus. As far as World of Warcraft goes in the Tuesday live streams, this coming Tuesday, since we don't have the pre-patch and the beta is all weird, unless something crazy happens, I'm probably going to have an off day where I stream something that isn't World of Warcraft here. So that's probably going to be Genshin Impact. I've been playing the crap out of that and having a ton of fun, and I've been wanting to showcase that and show it off to you guys because I have been having so much fun. But once the pre-patch comes out, I'm going to be focused on pre-patch content unless there are big beta changes to check out. And what I'm going to be doing is leveling alts through the new leveling experience. There are some allied races that I've wanted to get, but I hate rep grinding, so I haven't got them. And I'm going to be unlocking those and leveling some characters, I think. Originally, I was going to race change a bunch of characters or faction swap a bunch of characters for Shadowlands, but now since we have this opportunity with the delay to really get some leveling time in before the expansion, that's what I'm going to be doing instead. I have several characters that I've leveled up, but I don't really have like a ton of achievements or anything on. I just leveled them up to have a max level. And so there's no real big loss in me just leveling a new mage or something because I don't have a lot of achievements or titles or whatever on it anyway. So I'm going to be doing that, like picking the allied race that I want to be, leveling a new mage in the pre-patch. So that's going to be the focus of the WoW streams here coming up until we get the expansion launched, is mainly just focused on leveling characters that I need, and sometimes dipping a toe into the beta to check out the big changes, not the small little tuning changes, but big changes like talent reworks or skills or covenant ability reworks, that kind of stuff. On top of that, the other thing that I want to get going, since we have the time and opportunity, is to get some of the guild events running. Prepatch is when I wanted to start doing things with the channel guilds, which if you haven't heard about those, you can check the details on my website. Link to that's in the description below, but we're going to start up some events and stuff for that as well. So that's basically where my focus is. I want to flesh out, my live stream schedule. I want to get Twitch up to speed, caught up, looking nice. Kind of looks definitely under construction at the moment. So I want to catch that up and get those streams going, get the European time zone stream going as well. And outside of that, the other thing that I will probably focus on between now and the launch, since we have additional time and I really can't make those guides, is I'm going to focus on some UI videos leading into Shadowlands. So there's some new add-ons that I want to talk about. I also want to work on revamping some of the stuff that I've done before and kind of setting up a new system, new UI and stuff for Shadowlands. So I'm going to be looking into that as well. All right, well, this was my usual verbose video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you got some insights into kind of, what I think about the changes, and got a view for what's coming up on the channel. Stay here, stay excited. I still think that overall Shadowlands is one of the better looking expansions for World of Warcraft that we've had in a while, as long as they can nail down some of the tuning and balance issues, even with the Covenant ability, all that drama. I think that a couple of easy fixes, such as just letting people switch their conduits more than once a week, will take a lot of the pain out of that experience and leave us with what, in my opinion, is going to be a pretty good expansion. And once again, that's coming from somebody who just wants to play the crap out of Torghast. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube stuff. Help me continue to grow the channel and, get guides and content out there to everybody. Remember that, in all things, like, I'm fun focused first, and also trying to focus on making sure that all the specs in the classes get coverage as we move forward with the expansion. So I appreciate your viewership, appreciate you being here. Hope you're having fun. Let me know in the comments section below how you feel about the delay, and also let me know, are you playing something else? Are you excited about something else now that Warcraft is off the table for the end of October? Are you looking forward to Cyberpunk? What's going on? What's coming out that you are super excited about for the rest of the year? Because I want to check that stuff out too. All right, everybody. Hope you're having fun, and I'll see you on the next video.